guys, welcome to another episode of Tiger Dads. I'm Tiger Dad D, Jason Sklar. He's Tiger Dad.
Tiger Dad 6'7".
6'7". We're here. We're breaking down what it means to be and navigate the world of being a golf parent. We have a tremendous guest on the show today. A guest I brought to the show, damn it. I can book guests
Finally
too.
pulling your weight.
I'm finally pulling my weight, and Lord, do I have enough weight to pull. Her name is Diana Hong. She's a great comic. She used to be a pro golfer. She was a D1 golfer, and she has been on an intense and amazing journey, and I can't wait to talk to her. It's an insane story with lots of intense stuff in it, but I think it's worth hearing as we try to understand how do we push our kids and how do we motivate them, and what is the difference between those two things?
She does have a fascinating story, and I think it. Hopefully, we'll get into what is actual success. You know, right? Like, what is actual success in junior golf for your kid? Is it like just getting to college? Is it playing professionally? You know, and so she like, just knowing a little bit about her story, like
she's had tons of success, but in her eyes and in her late father's eyes, that's debatable, and I think that therein lies the problem, and therein lies what some of this tough stuff she had to go through. So we're going to get into all that. Before we get to that, kind of along those lines, I want to talk about my own sort of issue and questions with how do you get your kid back into golf while also taking breaks from golf? Like, for example, my daughter and my wife have been on a trip for the last 8 days. It's basically going to be 2 weeks with no golf, not touching a club or anything. This summer, she's going to be at summer camp for 2 weeks. Also excited about that, but right in the middle of summer golf season. I want to support her in that. I want her to enjoy that, but also at the same time, I'm like, how do I bring her back into the fold of the game and keep her motivated? This is what I'm fearful of. She comes back and she's like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I don't know if I want to, which of course is absurd, but that is what's going on in my brain.
I feel like even after the breaks are probably good for them. Just breaks for putting the clubs down. But what I always get scared of is, okay, like we've taken a long break, haven't touched a club in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And now we're coming back. We have a tournament in a week. Like, what is that going to look like?
And these kids have been grinding like daily.
Daily, yeah.
So how do you? So I guess it'd be like managing expectations, but also not letting them off the hook to be like, all right, we'll skip this tournament, because skipping some tournaments might turn into skipping 5 tournaments, or 3 or 4 or whatever.
So. What sort of worked well, and again, some of it's maturity. Like, my daughter's a year older than yours, and I've seen it. What I expected at 8 and 9 was unrealistic of her wanting to like go practice and get reps and just to understand that she kind of understood work equals results, but I think being patient with your kid, depending on the age of your kid, if you're going on summer break, you're not playing golf, like having some understanding of their actual maturity, which I don't think I had, and I'm seeing it now where, okay, my daughter actually doesn't even want to take breaks. She'll take a day, but like we just went on spring break and she's like, I want to take the clubs and let's find a range and let's get some practice in, because she now knows like I've got tournaments and she wants to do well in those tournaments. And so she sees and understands if I put the work in, the results follow, or the development follows, right? Where if I'm not playing. So some of it is, I think, just waiting for them to have the maturity and self-motivated drive to, like, they don't want to take the breaks. I don't know if that's answering your question.
I mean, it is, but it isn't, because I guess every kid is different, and I know that's not really my kid. But yeah, but it does make sense that, like, I guess we just have, and I don't know the answer. And I think a lot of parents struggle with this.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, your kid's a year younger than mine.
Right.
A year ago, Emmy was not like, hey, I got to practice every day. I want to bring the clubs with me.
Right.
Like, that's only like a recent development.
Got you.
You know what I mean? So some of it's the patience. And I was like, I think, we've had all these pros on talking about like how self-motivated they were.
Right.
And how, like, yes, some of them were pushed early, but they're so competitive that they like took on that goal for themselves. And I think unless your kids take that on for themselves, like, I don't think they'll ever be great. You know, like, you can only force them to do it for so long. You
can only force them for your own sanity too. Like, it's like you only tell a teenager to wake up like 11 times. You're like, I'm not your snooze button. Eventually, you got to wake up on the alarm by yourself or want to wake up on your own because I can't do it. All right. We have amazing guests. Enough of us yammering. This is going to be a tremendous episode of Tiger Dads. Stay with us. Like and subscribe. Share with your friends who have kids or who are getting into golf, or if you yourself are thinking about getting your kid into golf. I think this hopefully show becomes entertaining and a resource at the same time.
And comment. Let us know if you think we're wrong, because we're learning too. We're here trying to learn. We're making our own mistakes. So if you've got advice for us, let us know, man. Let us know.
Or if there's a topic you want us to bring up, throw that in the comments too. All right, stick around. More Tiger Dads after this with Diana Hong. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm very proud of our guest today because usually Beau is the one who books the guest, but I got to book a guest.
Finally doing something for the pod.
I'm finally pulling my weight on this show. She's a comic and was a golfer, a college golfer, and even further, Diana Hong. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Lots of pressure knowing that I am the one that you booked.
If you screw this up, then I won't have to book anyone ever again. So there's no pressure.
Good, okay. And also, that was so sweet. I've never had a dad say he's proud of me before, so that was already worth the drive here.
We're getting into it already. I mean, when we hung out at a comedy show downtown, you told me that you saw me and Randy and me at a driving range a couple times, and you're like, am I stalking them? And then we saw you at this show, and we started talking about golf, and you were like, oh, I have stories. I have Tiger Dad stories. Was your dad, let's start at the beginning. Was your dad a Tiger Dad?
Yeah, I mean, just hearing you guys talk, because I also did my research, Beau. I listened to a couple episodes. Hearing you guys talk, you guys are like Tony the Tiger. Like, you guys are so nice.
Like a serial tiger.
Yeah, you're
dad.
like a serial tiger dad. Like a fun, friendly, like my dad was like tiger dad. Like because like I played golf I started right before like the Poxetti wave. So that was the wave of like all the Korean golfers. That's really what kicked off a lot of Asian women starting to play. Like there was a whole, I guess, lore about like, a lot of Korean dads will send their kids to the States for golf, and if they didn't make it pro, they'll send them back home to get married. Like that was the stakes that were involved. I was born in the States, so I had a little more flexibility, I guess, in terms of like.
Be awful if they sent you back to Korea.
Yeah,
and they
right,
lived
to
in
go
the
get
States.
married, especially. But there was like this rumor that the reason Poxetti was so good was because her dad like forced her to sleep in a cemetery and practice there for mental toughness. So that's the guidebook that my dad had. And then Tiger Woods' dad being like, I trained him through like Navy SEAL training, like that type of stuff. So that was my Tiger dad. And my dad did not know golf before me. So it was like
he wasn't a player?
No. So it was in addition to like the Korean militant dad with no information.
The Sari Pak stories are crazy.
If
you haven't heard or like read about them, Sari Pak is, Korean woman, became like Hall of Famer on the LPGA tour, but her stories of her training, like they would put her on a train at like 5 years old to go practice all day or something crazy. And then they made her sleep in the cemetery or something nuts.
Yeah, that's what my dad was. He was like, you're lucky I'm not putting you in this. I was like, that's child abuse in America. You can't do that here.
You're lucky I'm not putting you in a cemetery is something we fortunately have not said yet.
Well, it's in your back pocket
because we're Tony the Tiger,
right? We got it. All right, wait. So, give us some concrete examples of like, was it on the course intensity? I love that you said he had all the like intensity and none of the information.
None of the information.
How old were you when he like started putting you out
I'm
there?
building a
I think
golf
like
robot.
around 10 or 12. Like, so how I started was my dad had a video store and he had an employee that was like always watching golf, and I thought he was old. I'm sure looking back he was like 30. Like you just at that age, you're just like anyone over 15 was like, oh my god, you're ancient. So we were watching golf, and I was like, I think I wanted to watch a Goofy movie. I was so bored, and I was like, golf is for old people. And he was like, you can't knock it till you try it. So he took me to the range, and I was actually like really good.
Ooh.
And I love sports, but I hated running. And I was like, wait, you don't have to run? You just have to sit here and hit balls? That's all. I was like, yeah, sign me up. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I don't have to work at the video store anymore. I can be outside. Like, so for me, it was like kind of an escape. And so, like on the course, it got really intense because like my dad, I think, saw how good I was. And then the Paksetti thing started happening. And then it became like, well, your dad, and like my mom was like, you can make your dad famous. Like we can get out. Like they were working really hard. Like
you could make your dad famous.
Yeah, it was, because Paksetti's dad was really famous. I mean, Tiger Woods' dad is famous. Like it was like a lot of like, how can we get out of the current situation? And I became that meal ticket.
Wow.
And so it was like very intense and like, I guess similar to Paksetti, like after, so my senior year of high school, my dad, I kept getting like carpal tunnel or like some wrist injury because I kept flipping the ball. And my dad was like pissed at my swing coach at the time. So he looked up like the Golf Digest, like top like coaches. And he sent me to Texas and I lived by myself for 3 months.
Who are you working with in Texas?
It was Chuck Cook, I think. Is he a pro still? He was like top 10 at the time. And then it was his academy. And then Brex Bradley was my coach, who I think is like on the Golf Channel now, or was. I think he's doing great. Amazing man. Beautiful family. So he basically just shipped me off there, got me a big bag of rice from Costco. I was sleeping on the floor. And I had one table. And everyone there, like, they all thought, like...
So how old are you at this point?
I was 18.
Oh,
so
okay,
I missed, like, my summer, like, hanging out with, like, my friends and stuff. But, like, yeah, he just, like, shipped me off. And...
Were you already into a college at that point? Or
yeah, I was at Washington State at that point. So, like, that was... Yeah, because I already graduated, but he wanted to make sure, like, I was, like, prepped to go to school. And, like, my whole college situation was, like... That was kind of a whole mess too. Like I was supposed to go to Stanford, and then the coach, like a week before, maybe like less than a week before the signing date, hits me up and is like, "Oh yeah, admissions rejected you," which like is unheard of at that point because it's like,
so you were recruited to play golf at Stanford?
Yeah, I was like, I went on an official visit with the other recruit, like, and stayed with the team and like practiced with them. Like I was set to go to Stanford. And by the time she told me I didn't have a spot, everyone else got recruited. Like, no, there was no
spots are gone.
Yeah. But then my friend, who we had the same swing coach, Kim Welch, this is all old names, but like she went to Washington State, talked to her coach, and then they got me a spot. So going to Washington State was a complete accident. I wasn't supposed to go there.
Still D1, Pac-10 at the time.
When Pac-10 was a thing.
That's how old it is. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's D1. I mean, the fact that you were recruited by Stanford at all tells us how good you were as a player.
I used to be really good.
Maybe if your dad made you sleep in the cemetery.
I would have maybe I'll still
Your
be playing
grades would
golf.
have been
I
better.
wouldn't. Yeah, because that right. Maybe if I was just a little bit better.
You should have focused on school a little bit too.
Well, I was in all the AP classes, and I thought everything was kind of like a done deal. So I did slack. I slept during my AP test. Like that's on me. But like he did. Like my dad was like known amongst like junior golf as like everyone knew how I played based on my dad.
Based on how he was behaving?
Yeah. So like it was like he was always drinking. My dad did have a drinking problem. So they would like other parents would joke too. They're like, "Oh, you knew how Diana played because like he'll be at the bar and depending how pissed he is, like she played poorly or if she played well, he'd be like, "Oh, come drink with me." Like so there was like
So is he watching you drinking? Is he taking like a 12er out there, or is he just sitting at the bar drinking, waiting for you?
It depends. If it's like if I started off bad, he'll leave. And he'll go drink.
Go at the bar. Go
Yeah,
have some
he
drinks.
was just
We're
like-
trying to figure out what our strategies are for next time we're out
Do you
there with
want to
our
meet at the
kids.
bar?
Should we just hang out at the bar?
Hole 2
It
after?
probably would. Honestly, I think your kids would like it.
They'd probably
I
be
think
cool
they'll
with it.
probably be like maybe because like for me it was easier to not have him around.
Because what would happen? You'd hit a weird shot and then you'd look at him and he'd be freaking out.
So I mean he'd be very mad, but like this is also a different time, and my parents were different. But there was like my parents would beat my ass. Like that's how
jeez.
like so like that's kind of ultimately what led me to quit golf.
Sure.
Was that like it became a point. So I did do the pro thing for a year and did some mini tour stuff. And I reached a point after a range session where I think I sat with myself and I was like, I felt like I was dying. Cause like every decision I made, it felt like life or death. Cause like from junior golf, it was like that. Even if I played well, it was like, oh, you didn't play well enough, you missed that putt, or you did that. And
even if you won the tournament.
Even if I won the tournament, it's like, oh, you left a couple strokes out there.
It's interesting. So already at the junior level, like I mean, because sort of like we walk off the course, and even my daughter would be like, fuck, I left 5 shots out there. I don't need to say it anymore. But I see other parents out there, and there's one dad I always think of, because every time I see him, I'm like, oh, how's so-and-so doing? So bad. Oh, she's terrible. Like, everything is like, the sky is always falling. Yeah. And then you'll see and you'll finish, and like she won and she's like 4 under. I'm like, dude, stop.
Yeah, that was my dad. And like my friend, he was one of the guys that worked in the pro shop, and he remembers this one tournament where it was like at that club or at that course, and my dad went into the pro shop and was just like, par birdie, she sucks.
Par birdie, she sucks.
And it was because my competitor, who was like my rival, I guess at the time, she started off birdie,
and then she had a par.
And then she got him, and then like,
par.
It was still like, yeah, it was like, yeah, par birdie. I sucked.
Who the hell is this clown?
Yeah, it was like,
who
why
was
am I even
Who was
there?
your main rival?
Her name, so I grew up in Sacramento. Her name was Hannah Summerhays, who, rest in peace, she passed away. And like, I think like also like around that time, I think mental health wasn't a discussion, right? Like, I think if I had the tools now that a lot of players, or like the conversations that we're having now around golf or just sports in general, I probably would still be playing, honestly. I think I just didn't have the tools to comprehend what was happening.
Is your dad still alive?
No. So we can say anything now.
Okay, great. He's not going to come after us.
Exactly.
He's not going to beat my ass. My question for you, though, is when you put it away and said, I'm done with this, was a part of you like, what the hell am I going to do? Because this has been my life for the last however many years.
Yeah.
That's a very courageous move.
Yeah. So I almost killed myself.
Well, that's
just not as courageous, but I did end up going to the psych ward.
I'm glad you made it through that.
Thank you.
I really am.
Yeah, it was soul crushing. It was because, like I said, I didn't have the tool. Like, I talked to my therapist about this recently, and she was like, you saved yourself. You quitting saved yourself. Like, you didn't know how to handle that stress. And my body doesn't. Like, now, like, my body will go into like stroke-like symptoms if I get too stressed out, because it doesn't know how to handle it anymore.
So then you became a comic?
And then I became a comic I became a comic. I also I have a problem with having hobbies. I'm like, how do I make money off of this? But before I moved to Florida, so I lived in Arizona. I actually got sick and had part of my small intestine removed when I was like playing the Cactus Tour there. So I had to come back, and then I recuperated. And then right before I moved to Florida, like I had that period where I wasn't golfing. I was just hanging out with friends. And I was like, I think I want to hit an open mic. This is a bucket list item. Like, I loved Cat Williams when I was in high school. And I just...
One of the greatest Korean comics of all time, Cat Williams.
Truly a trailblazer.
Wait, do you know I have a golf Cat Williams story?
Wait, what?
Super fast. I was at this Netflix, golf event at Riviera. I walk outside the clubhouse after my round. Who is out there, like, blazing the biggest joint at Riviera? I'm like, I don't think you can do this, but it's Cat Williams. And I'm like, hey man. He's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, how you doing? He's like, my man. And he took a huge hit, and then all the smoke came out, and he was like, I'm playing golf at the greatest golf course in the world. How can I be anything but great? And I'm like, oh my God, Cat Williams.
Oh my God.
You just talk like Cat Williams. And he was so nice, and he was so happy to be golfing, and just like, he's a big time golfer. All right, so I'm glad he was an inspiration for you.
If you're listening, let's play. That would be
let's go play.
That
you
would be
love it.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, Cat Williams saved my life, because like I remember being in high school and being so depressed because of the golf thing. Like, I wasn't really able to have friends. Like, my parents like kicked me out multiple times.
Out of the house.
Out of the house. Like, I was like either staying out of my car or staying at a friend's place.
Was it because you weren't playing well enough? You weren't practicing enough?
I didn't prioritize golf. And I was a high schooler. Like, I wanted to have friends. I wasn't playing well enough. That was another thing. But his mentality was like, golf has to be the only thing consuming your mind, which I think naturally it was going to be. But the issue was that like the pressure of him being like, you're never going to be great if you think of anything else, if you want to do anything
too
else.
much.
And it ultimately broke me. I mean, it lasted for a long time. I think I ended up quitting at 22, 23, and I'm 38 now, so.
It's really interesting. So I was sort of an aside because we're literally a week out from Tiger just getting arrested again. And, you know, parents held up Tiger, sounds like your dad did, as this like model of like, this is how to be successful. And I think we've seen enough now that like, yes, he's arguably the greatest golfer of all time, but he's arguably one of the most wrecked human beings of all time. I mean, right? We've watched him consistently like destroy relationships, destroy self-harm. I mean, clearly like he's got drug issues. And it's like, as much as I love Tiger, I loved watching Tiger, it's like hard to watch him basically flounder through life, I would say. It's like,
well, you watch that documentary and you're like, that moment where he like went to the prom with his high school girlfriend was his favorite moment of his life. That's when he seemed the most happy with who he was. And then they're like, oh no, you can't see her anymore. Much like you can't date her. You have to only, she's going to take you away from golf.
Yeah.
He was going to go to college with her. And she was like, oh, you can't do that. You got to go somewhere else because she'll distract you and she'll distract you from the game.
Well, that was always a saying when I was playing, was like, the worst thing to happen to an athlete is love. And so like that, I grew up with that mentality. And like, I understand Tiger because I have kind of I grew up in the same thing, right? The same environment. I just don't have his success. So I luckily I was able to get out. But like, I think golf is very interesting too, and a lot of sports, but golf specifically, because if you're taking into account the socioeconomic, the racism, and like the stuff that he has to overcome, right? He's already on a pedestal. And then you take the sport itself, which in some ways defies physics. Like when you hit a good shot, it's almost godlike. Like people saw him as a god. Like, what do you mean you're playing on a torn Achilles heel? Like, what are you talking about? He was a god. And I think when you're up there that high, you're not held to by the normal rules of mortals, and that messes, because we are human. So that messes with you. And I think like that's ultimately what happened, was that like that was part of my identity. It was like I only had value because of golf, of how good I was. And so when I was like, I don't want to play anymore, it ruined me because I had no identity.
Yeah, who are you?
What value do I bring to the world?
What can I do? And that's why I got into comedy, was because like when I was in the psych ward, I did the open mic and I was like, this is amazing. And then I was like, I'm never seeing these people again. Went to Florida, decided to quit, moved back. And when I was in the psych ward, I remember there was this one other patient who was like on a 1-to-1, meaning like you're actively still trying to kill yourself. So you have to be supervised all the time. And she was deaf, so she and mute, so she wasn't able to communicate really well. And I was there, and we were just like in a group. And then I don't remember, I did something dumb, and she laughed, and it was the craziest thing. We were all just like, it was the craziest feeling I can't even describe. Like it felt like all I wanted my whole entire life was to feel like I had a purpose. I could belong. I'm not alone. I'm an only child. And I wasn't the favorite, you know, and it was just like, and then golf was my way to become someone's favorite. It was my way to find value. And like, so to feel that, that's why I went into comedy, because I was like, that felt more fulfilling. Because like when I was playing golf too, it did hit me where I was like, who is this even for? It stopped being for me for a long time ago. All I'm doing is entertaining these people who honestly, especially like when I came out as gay and came to that realization, who would vote for against my best interests, who don't even like me. There was a lot of racism when I was coming up, because that's when they were having that whole thing on the LPGA tours. Like, if you don't speak English, you can't even play. Like, what do you, and then everyone got mad at them. They're like, oh, okay, we'll give you classes. Like, what do you mean? Why did you come off that aggressive in the first place? Like, there's a lot of underlining racism that they were like mad. And I even experienced that at Q school. Because I went to Q school because we paid for it already, and but I was still injured. Like, I wasn't allowed to lift more than 15 pounds. But then I was under 25. So renting a car was too expensive. So I actually would carry my bag a mile from the hotel to the golf course. Yeah. And so I was like there for like a good time, clearly not a long time, but like I wasn't like there to like really stress about it too much.
Right.
And then one of the players I was playing with, her whole family came from Brazil. This girl was like already shooting 90. I think she shot 90 on the first day, was shooting like 85, or like it wasn't going good. And there's like this rule, right, about like a caddy, like your caddy can't stand directly behind you for alignment or something. And like, I think like it only happened a couple times. I missed it, but it's like clearly it's like $7,000 to be here. Like the rules official started cussing me out for not penalizing her and getting her DQ'd.
Like she just shot a 90. I'm not even really
That's what I'm saying.
She's not even in contention.
She's not winning.
She and her family flew from like, I want to say Brazil, but like they flew, like it's chill, dude. It's not, and it was only because like her English wasn't great. Like that, there was like a lot of things that they'll come out, or like if they didn't know, like they would assume I wouldn't speak English. They'll like come at me aggressively, and then I'll say something in English and be like, oh, okay. So like I came at a different time in golf where like I wasn't accepted already. So I think like that uphill battle plus the pressure of everything, and like, and then just like, ironically too, it's like I used golf as my identity, and then when I think back on it, I also had no sense of identity. I was just a golfer. I didn't even know my personality.
Yeah.
Like I became a comic. All my friends were like, we're not surprised. Like you were so funny. I was like, I didn't even know I was funny. Like
it's,
this is so illuminating for us as parents of kids who want to get the most out of our kids and want them to be able to follow their dream. But I guess like, I mean, on such a deep level, you have to be tuned in and listening to what your kids are telling you, even if they're not saying it verbally.
It's funny. Something you said struck me. Even though I've definitely been hard on my kid out there, like as I get frustrated, we've talked about like, you know, the pressure we feel when our kids are playing in tournaments. I've always made a real point because I don't want her identity. I've never wanted her identity to be just a golfer.
Yeah.
And I've always made a point of like, hey, no matter what you score, I still love you. I'm so proud of you. I love all the things that you're becoming as a young woman. It's getting not your scores. You know, it's great when you score well and you do well in tournaments, but I've always made a point, even on the inside, where I'm like, fuck, dude, to just score better, you know? But I try to make a point of letting her know that like golf does not need to be your whole identity. You know, and I think
unless you want it to be, unless like that's what you're saying you want to, if you want to put, but you're right in saying that it's so up and down of a sport. And there's all like, I'm sure you find this in comedy as well. It's like, and certainly in like our business, in the business of trying to get jobs, there's always someone who's doing better than you. There's always someone who's better looking, funnier, you know, in the comedy world. There will always be in the golf world someone who's better than you. So if your entire value is, and you always have bad days.
Yeah.
So if your entire value is attached to how you're doing on the golf course or on a comedy stage, get ready for some real rough times.
Yeah, and I would also ask yourself, like, for me, it was like, yeah, I wanted to be the number one player in the world, right? That was my goal. It wasn't ever to just make it on tour. It was to be number one. That, you know, so there's a whole other step to that. But I would also take into account, like, why? No one ever asked me why, right? Like, why isn't it just being on tour good enough, making enough money? Like, even with comedy, too, it's like, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, I just want to be able to pay my bills. That makes sense, right? But, like, ask the ones that are like, no, I want to be, like, the next Matt Rife. I want to sell out all the arenas. It's like, okay, well, why that extreme? Like, I feel like there are different levels to it that kind of is, that's where it's like, okay, where is the question mark? Because, like, for me, number one meant I get all the things that, like, my parents wanted, right? They wanted that fame, that notoriety, which is, like, never a reason to go into anything. Like, that's not healthy.
So that goal for being number one, do you think that was something drilled into you, or were you competitive? Like, was that actually your goal, or is that something you feel like your parents just drilled into you that had to be the goal?
I mean, this is the first time I've ever been asked that, honestly, and I have to, like, think about it. And I think if I, like, just kind of going off of my gut, I think it was initially me because I wanted to have value. I wanted to feel like I could be seen. I had a purpose. Someone cared. And I felt like people only cared about number one. Like there was a tournament we played in college, and my teammate won the tournament. And
so your team won.
My teammate won individual. I don't even know what happened. And like everyone like went to go hug my teammate. We all waited for her on the green, right? We went to go congratulate her. And my dad comes up to me and he's like, "That's what I want for you." And it like maybe started with me, but it turned into them telling me this is how you can be valued, is if you are at the top. Like no one cares if you're like second place, none of that. Like they only care if you are number one. I mean, also like look at all the stuff that Tiger was, I mean, if we're using Tiger as an example, that he got away with because he was number one. He's so great. Still getting away with because he's so great. That's what I think I saw that as. And I think that's why I wanted it but like I look at things like there's one time I had it was a junior tournament, and I still think about this because I'm like, this was like an insane thing. This girl, so it was a stroke play the first round or the first 2 rounds, and then it went into match play. And then we got paired up, and I got paired with this girl, and she saw that she was paired with me, and she immediately started crying because she knew she was going to lose to me. Like already she was just like, I'm going to get beat so bad.
Man, I can't, this is, I don't know where the story's going, but I'm like, I can't wait for someone to start crying.
I thought you were going to say, I can't wait for a kid to be paired with my kid and start crying.
Yeah.
No,
honestly, I like that moment. I look back and I'm like, okay, that's kind of badass. Like,
that is badass.
That is badass. But then this is how I think like, this is how I knew I wasn't cut. And my dad and I got in a fight about this because I let her win a hole. I didn't go out and was like, oh no, I'm going to bury her. I let her win a hole. And so like, if I look back on it, like, yeah, I think I said I wanted to be number one, but like, ultimately, did I have that competitive killer instinct? I don't think so. I think
had
I'm
compassion, which is better.
Which is, I mean, now,
yeah.
but like you tell like
that's a human
18-year-old me, I've been like, no, that's like the worst thing you can have.
Right.
You know?
Right. Like you didn't have what it took to bury somebody in that moment, just because you didn't sleep in a cemetery.
Yeah, and once again, that's all.
That's the only time you're going to start burying.
Yeah,
but that is what a great thing. But like, if you look at Tiger Woods or Todd Marinovich, if you want to talk about football, he was a kid who was like raised from 2 years old and then was doing crack in someone's yard, like when he was 30. Like, there is no ultimate positive outcome because all of this side stuff of life that actually makes up what's important in life, when you get rid of all those things, it builds up and it comes out a different way somewhere else. Exactly. In your case, it was you quit and then you wanted to take your own life. And I'm so glad that didn't work out. And if it's like Tiger, it's I'm going to be with any woman I can be with in any scenario I can be with. I'm going to do drugs and alcohol and drive. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do forever. And it is what it is. But maybe on some level, Tiger's being saying to himself, I mean, I don't even want to go, but maybe like you, he's saying my only value to the world is being number one in the world. I won't be number one in the world anymore. So maybe part of him is trying to kill himself.
I think it's pretty clear Tiger's a miserable person.
Well, yes.
Like, do you know what I mean? So like for all the accolades, for being the greatest of all time, for all the major championships,
for everyone who idolizes him,
beautiful kids, he's clearly miserable.
And not one of his mistresses is as attractive as his wife.
Which is
not even
insane.
close.
No.
It's like, what are you doing? But like that notion of this is it. This is the result of all of that number oneness, forever the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan, miserable person.
Yeah.
No friends. Michael Jordan had introducing him at his Hall of Fame induction, the guy who beat him out in high school. How petty is that for the basketball team? Didn't have Scottie Pippen, didn't have Horace Grant, didn't have B.J. Armstrong, didn't have Phil Jackson introduce him. He had the guy who beat him out so we can be like, oh yeah, what are you? You're not playing basketball anymore? I'm the greatest of all time in the Hall of Fame. That's what a petty, sad person he is. And you're like, is it worth it? The world adores you, but you have to live in your life. You are the one who wakes up with you every single day for the rest of your life. So on the highest end of stuff, like, you have to somehow find balance. That's why you look for a guy like Scottie Scheffler and you're like, oh, he's going to be okay.
Well, that's sort of like, we're on this podcast trying to figure out that balance of like, how do we help our kids be successful? But like, my ultimate goal is for them to be a happy person. You know what I mean? Like a a happy, whole,
Human
professional something. You know, it doesn't need to be a professional golfer.
I think ultimately, I mean, if I could pass on something, it would be that mistakes are okay. I think like putting the pressure on like if you do poorly or whatever, because like also like I think if you live in as an adult, this is like the wisdom that we have, right? Being older, then you can pass on to your kids. Like kids don't know this yet for the most part. There are some days where you just try your best as a human being and it's not going to work out, and that's not your fault. And I think ultimately being able to instill the lesson of like, it's not it's okay. Mistakes are okay. Bad days are okay. I think like that's what leads to success. You can't like look at the end game and be like, this is what success is, right? You qualifying for the Open, you doing this, XYZ, going to this college. I got 2 full rides. That's not, I mean, a lot of people are like, that's cool, right? That could be success or whatever.
That is success.
It doesn't feel like success because no one taught me what feeling proud of yourself or being like okay with mistakes is. Because like you tell me that, all I think about to this day, all I think about, I could have gone to Stanford. That's,
So for your dad, it was never good enough, basically.
Never good enough. And I think it was because he felt like he wasn't good enough, and that got instilled into me.
That's it. He wanted you to make him famous. Like if he couldn't do it on his own, I mean, you could have easily been like, you make you famous.
I could have. And I guess like.
Not, but you wouldn't have because you were the child of.
I didn't know, but you're right. Like, as an adult, I'm like, why? Like, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal because it's like you see Koreans, like that's kind of how we are. Is like, you represent the family, right? You're not an individual thing. And so like, I think it's like now I'm telling more people like what my childhood was like. A lot of people are like, they have the same reaction. They're like, what?
Does it make for good comedy?
I mean, that's what the next special is going to be about, is like me quitting golf and like how that took a toll on me mentally, and like how comedy basically saved you. Because it's like to learn to laugh again after everything was the biggest thing.
And I think that's the big takeaway. It's just like, we got to find that balance of pushing our kids, supporting them, but not breaking them, right? Like, I don't want my kid to end up on a comedy special in 15 years.
Hey,
talking about talking about not being a comedian, but like about like
how awful you were,
how awful I was, and how like she had to like rebuild her life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, like I learned a lot of good things. It's like it's just hard because it's like different generation, right? Different worlds. Like he came from a different world than I did. He did probably the best that he could. But it's also like I'm learning from that as well, right? So it's like my therapist, we talk about is like you can blame your parents. You don't have to confront them, first of all, but like it's kind of just a way to kind of process that. Like I'm not mad at them. I was for a very long time, but I'm not mad. I do talk about these things and I do explore these things and ask these questions now because I want to be a better person. It's not about them anymore. And that was the biggest shift.
Yeah, you're breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
And with comedy, you can, draw power from it because you get to own the situation. You get to have power of the situation because you get the final word. You get the joke on the thing. And we talk about this when I talk about my kids are trolling me. I'm like, keep doing it because I'm going to write a comedy bit where I win.
Yeah.
At the end of this bit, right? But I do want to talk briefly about your desire to come back to golf. And you tried to come back and play, was it 12 years later? 10 years after?
10 years later, because this was a couple years ago. The intention was good. The intention was so good. Because it was like, I was also in a space where I don't know what to do with my comedy career. I think I was like 10 years into comedy at that point too.
Which also is just a baby in the beginning, but yes.
It feels like, it's like
forever,
to not,
but...
and I'm in LA. I had no credits. I don't know what I was doing. So I was like, okay. And then my dad had passed. I think it was like my dad passed away not too long before that. And I thought I was like in a better place mentally where I understand why my game went wrong. Because one of the reasons, the main reason I quit was it was all mental, but I was trying to find a technical solution to it. And what it was is like, okay, so my driver on a good day, I was averaging 280.
So you had to pop.
I was, for my size too, I was also a little bigger, but like I was hitting it very far. But depending on how stressed I was hitting it 210, maybe 180 off the tee.
What?
You can't play like that. My 8-iron had a 30-yard gap. And it was all because like when I was stressed or it was like high pressure, I would try to control. I wouldn't shift my weight. I would like, and then I would hit this block because I'm like, I wouldn't release the club. And then when I would have to release it because of science, right? I would flip it and then I would just get a lot of wrist injuries. And so I was like, well, now I'm an adult. I understand my body more. I understand my mental game. I clearly was not. I think I would like to do this again because I think I'm in a better place. But then, so I was like, okay, let me try to qualify for the Open. I think I can do it. And I had to start from scratch because like when I quit, I sold my clubs for rent money. So I didn't have clubs.
Oh my God.
And so one of my friends, she's a pro up north in like the Bay Area. She helped me out a lot. She helped me get clubs. She helped me get shoes. She gave me a couple lessons.
So you literally hadn't even picked up a club in a while.
Oh, yeah. Like most people didn't even know I played golf. Like it was just like I hadn't picked up a club in a while. I was just like, no, I can do it. I think I knew I was good enough, and it was like my way to prove to myself that I could do that. So the premise of the idea of the documentary that I was trying to do was like try to qualify for the Open while trying to do a special. Stupid. Oh my God. Comedy is a night thing. Golf is a day thing. So I'm trying to do this. And I had zero money. I don't know what I was thinking.
How?
So I would just like kind of show up like with what money I have. Eventually I started playing golf with people who were like, hey, you're a good vibe. You're good. Like, I'll just pay for your round. So but it was like, I didn't have all the time to do that because then I was like traveling for comedy. Like I was doing festivals and stuff. So it was like the dumbest idea. Anyway, 2 days before the qualifier, my wrist blew up to the point where I couldn't make a fist. And it was just like, it was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. But it's for the plot, right? So I played it's 18 holes back to back. So I played 36 holes.
Jeez, with a wrist
and
like
after
a
like the
basketball.
third or fourth hole, my wrist started blowing up. So I had to play the rest of the day because I couldn't withdraw. So a lot of the times in qualifiers, not saying that, this wasn't going to be the end result anyway, but a lot of times in qualifiers, if you finish too far behind the winner, you have to sit out a year or something like that. They basically kick you out of golf. So a lot of people will withdraw if they're not playing well. But I'm doing it for the plot. I'm like, I can't quit. Like, I can't quit on camera because my wife was with me, like, recording everything. And
she's now never, your tiger dad?
She didn't even know.
She's like, don't you quit. I'm going to the bar to drink.
Yeah, because she was like, never walked 18 holes, never seen golf. She knows nothing about golf. She tried it out for her high school team once because a girl she liked was on it and then never touched a club again. So she's out in the sun carrying this camera. Yeah. And then, so I ended up finishing DFL, if you know what that acronym is. And mainly, I think it's because people dropped out. I don't think I was going to have the worst score, but like I think it barely broke 100. It was
Dead
like
effing last, just for those of you who are trying to put that together.
And so like, yeah, it was like I'm glad I did it because I was able to have that story to tell you and get here. Like everything happens for I'm very grateful for that. Very dumb.
Did the documentary come out?
No, we still have the footage, and I realized I'm like, oh yeah, this whole thing is about how like stand up saved my life and all this. There was no stand up. So now I'm writing the hour.
Around it. Okay, well that's great. First of all, I also think there's a narrative movie in this. I'm not telling you what to do, but as a comic, like I'm a swing coach for comics in a sense. I feel like my brother and I, certainly through our Tag It show and whatnot, which you have to come do. But I think there's a narrative movie in you telling your story, aside from it being just fascinating and it being the story of Korean, like children of Korean first generation. Your dad
Depends who you ask. My dad immigrated. I say first because I'm first in trauma, but you ask everyone else. You ask Wikipedia.
First generation, but so 1.5 level, whatever. It is a great story. It is a fascinating story also because of who you are. And I know you can make it funny. Like humor is what saved you. And humor to me is what would save that story from being like a really hard watch. But I think more people need to hear that story. We're trying to do a very low grade version of that with this podcast, which is showing the mistakes we make so that other people don't make those mistakes. And also trying to understand what is the it's like driving a stick shift car. Like, how much do you push the clutch to how much do you push the gas to like get to be in the sweet spot where you're motivating your kid, but not driving them to insanity?
I think what's been really interesting for us, I mean, for me doing this pod and hearing from you and hopefully like parents listening to us, is that like we all have those feelings, right? Like as chill as I want to be with my daughter, as much as I love her, as much as I'm proud of her, like we all go through those moments, right? Where we're watching them and we're like, what the fuck are you doing out there?
Go sleep in a cemetery.
Yeah, go sleep in a cemetery. But it's like we all are struggling with that as parents. And so I think sharing it, and you talk about having those mental health like conversations to be able to manage and deal with these emotions. I think, we've heard from parents that are sort of saying like, oh, I thought I was the only one thinking that, because people out there, they're not really sharing because like they don't want to sound like the crazy one when we're all inside the crazy ones.
And we all see it. We all talk, like to this day, my friend and I, we talk about how like there's like these two sisters that were like famous in Northern California junior golf for, all of us weren't allowed to have friends, right? But they were like aggressive and their grandparents would teach them to like basically sabotage, like have an empty water bottle, play with it in someone's backswing, like kick someone else's ball. Like they were known as cheaters.
They were like working on gamesmanship as part of their strategy.
Yeah. So it's like they're like, even though parents are like, they're not talking about it, the kids see it. Yeah. We talk about it. So it is important that you guys also talk about it because, if you just keep hiding, it's going to get worse. And it's like, also it's like the expectations you have on like what you want for your kid. It's like, they might change their mind for no reason. Like Alyssa Liu, I think is a great example. Yeah. It's like they're allowed to change their minds, experience different things. I think the best thing you can do as an athlete is have a life, be a multidimensional person, just like comedy, right? Mm-hmm. If you own like people that are like only comedy all the time and they have zero personality, I'm like, dude, I wouldn't want to listen to you for an hour.
I would talking to Patton Oswalt. He had the special just dropped, and Randy and I were saying to him, so what are you going to do right now? Are you going to go back on the road and try to build up the new hour? He's like, no, I'm going to go live my life for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have to do. Like it's literally why like every big rapper raps about how they grew up, and it's all this like real stuff from the street and from their lives and all that stuff. And then they go get, as Biggie said, houses in expensive places, and then they're not living a life that anyone can relate to anymore. It's just like money and weird stuff in unfamiliar homes in unfamiliar places. And so if you are not living that life and connected to, toes in the grass of the rest of the world, then you are going to be stuck in a really, really myopic place that only represents failure or success. And it's more oftentimes failure than success when it comes to golf.
Yeah. I think you're like, as a parent of an athlete, like you guys are not coaches. Right, like as much as you want to be involved and like tell them what to do. Involved,
but I specifically I don't do any coaching.
But None. Like I think part of it is like remembering as a parent, like when to tell your kid to take a break. I think like that's when we don't know. I think when you're in it, like as someone that was a student athlete and like that did the pro thing, it's like you're so in it, you don't know when it's too much, when you're kind of overworking. So I think like that's part of it is like, yeah, we have all these dreams. We want you to be successful. I think part of it is like seeing it from the big picture and be like, okay, maybe you should put the clubs down for like a week, 2 weeks. Let's go to the beach. Let's go do something completely different. They might fight you on it, but it's like just like making sure that they are still like a rounded person is the only thing you can control. You can't control how good they're going to get because, yeah, there could be someone better that year. I'm sure it's like, yeah, like right now, it's like anyone, I follow women's basketball, anyone that was playing with Paige Beckers that year, there was that Sonia Citron, like she's an amazing player, but it's the same year she's playing with Paige Beckers.
Yeah.
Things like that happen.
Yeah.
There'll always be someone better than you.
Always.
Tennis is the same thing. I always feel bad for Andy Roddick. He was going to be the next great U.S. hope. He wins the U.S. Open and then Federer and Nadal for 15 years and Djokovic. It's like now you went from number 1 to number 4. And you can't control that.
There's 3 generational, like historic
the greatest of all time, 1, 2, 3, and you just happen to come up in that time. If he had come up 6 years earlier, he would have had 7 years of being on top, and he would be thought of in the same breath as Agassi and Sampras. But instead, he had to butt up against the greatest of all time. And so yeah, you can't control what the game around your kids is going to do, and you just have to make sure they don't.
All right, so 2 questions before we let you go.
Okay.
One, what would you, like, if you were doing it all over again, how would you have balanced golf and like childhood?
I mean, it's hard to say because that was out of my control.
Yeah.
Like my parents controlled a lot of my life.
If you had the control.
If I had the control, I'd let myself be a kid. I like from a very the second I picked up a golf club, I just it was instilled in me that every action had a consequence that felt like it was never recoverable. And so I was so scared to move. I didn't know how to play. That's why I'm in therapy now. I'm in therapy to learn how to have fun, which is crazy. It was because I was struggling as a comic. It wasn't because I was like, I need to be a better person. I was like, I need to learn how to play so I can be a better comic. Like even like that mental gymnastics to do it means I'm like, oh, that's not mentally well, but that's from my golf side was like how to become a better golfer. If someone told me it was like, if you go to therapy to become a better golfer, I would have done it. So maybe therapy, but like, it was just, yeah. Being okay with stepping away from the clubs for like I wouldn't take a day off.
Okay, so would you not want to take a day off, or would you not be allowed to take a day off?
I wouldn't be allowed.
Okay, so that's a big difference.
Yes.
Okay.
But you would, if you can control it, you would have done that, taken some days.
I would have taken some days because it's like as a kid, yeah, I would have loved to go to the theme park. I would have loved to like go to a friend's birthday party. Even if, like, would it have been a full day? I don't know. But like, I would have probably came home and like just putted. You know what I mean? Like, I really did enjoy golf. So, but it was like, I didn't have the option to take a day off. I'd like to think, like, I wish my parents were like, no, you need to take a day off. Like, this isn't healthy.
All right. So the lesson for us, for the parents, is like, give your kids some breaks, let them be a kid, so that when they come back to golf, they enjoy doing it. Yeah,
everyone needs a vacation, right? We all need vacations from our day jobs. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. As comics, I never take a vacation. It's true. I don't think I've had a vacation in like, it's been a really long time since I've like been like, okay, I'm not doing comedy for a month or 3 weeks. Like it's the same ball game. I'm glad you jumped from the frying pan into the fire. What was your last question?
So what is your relationship with golf now?
I think I miss it a lot, and it makes me sad because like sometimes I do think about like the life that could have been if I just had the help that I need. I was a very angry kid. If I had the help that I needed back then, I'm doing the special. I would love to find someone to sponsor me so I can take time off and actually try to qualify. Like that would be a dream to make it into something because I believe this is an important story. Like I also had a friend that, she was a great junior golfer. She played at Cal and she passed away. We don't exactly know the official cause, but I haven't been close with her. I do know it was a lot of identity issues. And I think it's an important story that hopefully like people resonate with, and so I want to play golf again. I want to be involved. I miss it a lot. I miss the being on the course and just having that moment to myself. I miss things making sense. Comedy, not everything makes sense. Golf, it's like you hit the ball, close club face, it's going left, right? Like everything makes sense to me on the course.
Right.
So I miss it. I miss it a lot. And I think it's like trying to find a way to come back to it without that expectations or pain or that weight from everything. I think I'm getting there with therapy, but yeah, I do miss it quite a bit.
Hopefully we can all get out and play one day.
That'd
Let's
be great.
go play. I would love that for fun. Let these people know how they can follow you and support you on Instagram and in the world of live comedy.
Everything is at D Hong Comedy, and come to a live show. I'm touring, and yeah, just hit me up if you have golf questions. I mean, I miss talking about golf. So that would be the best support, following and letting me know golf stories.
I love it.
Thank you so much for just coming and sitting and being so open and honest with us.
Thank you for having me.
Gave me a lot to think about. Hopefully give them a lot to think about. And anytime you want to come back on and talk golf stories, let's do it.
I would love to.
I'm going to say this is the last thing I'm going to say. You are at once a success story and a cautionary tale all in one thing. And I think that's hard to do because the fact that you turned it into comedy, pain turns into comedy. I mean, a lot of they always say comedy equals tragedy plus time. But I do think pain turned into comedy is someone like recycling like some serious garbage into something beautiful. And I think that like you being able to look into your experiences and give laughter to people on stage is a beautiful outcome of this whole, at times, difficult process. And I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm happy for people to start following you and get to know you. And it's been an awesome episode.
Love it. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Guys. Tiger Dads, follow us, like and subscribe, share this with friends. Sometimes we go deep and sometimes we get funny. Like this is the show. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle.